The following is a transcript between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am, originally produced on October 12, 2020, under the constellation of Libra in the mental week, examining through the Taurus field. Me. If something leaves me with the concept of meaning and nonsense, it is that everything is based on the concept of nothingness. It seems that the void is a reoccurring answer to all things. When we start the spiritual path, we never really expect that the end of the path will find such a raw truth. Sometimes we attribute the nonsense to agnostics, atheists, nihilists. My grandfather was a nihilist, a relentless seeker of knowledge, but whose view of life was simply a moment of meaningless, organic development that would soon be over. And then the eternal emptiness, darkness, nothingness itself, and the worms took him away. They devoured him. When I listened to this, there was something deep inside of me that told me that this was impossible. Also, I could see my guides from the beginning from other dimensions, and this gave me meaning after death. I could remember my past lives and have visions of the future. All of this made me see that I was not alone in the immensity, that in reality, it is a complete whole of millions of things. Life could not end in total nonsense, and the nothingness the same. So nothing is worth it. And throughout my life, discovering more and more meaning, finding greater answers and visions, suddenly I came to this last and most determining of my memories, the void. I remember my grandfather's words, and I remember his way of seeing the world from nonsense. I could understand that he, from science and reading, and I, from spirituality and memory, had reached the same conclusion. However, there was a difference. I was missing from the equation. Me, exactly. My grandfather's vision was personalistic and based on the ego, on separation, as if each individual fell into the void, into the nonsense, as if the void were something separate from me, where our existence accumulated and there was nothing else to do since we were relegated to this emptiness. But it's not like that. Then you realize what it meant. Me. The void is not something or a place where my existence ended. I was the void. I am the void. That changes everything, knowing that emptiness is not something that surrounds me, but something that makes me be, that allows me to exist. Why then would the void, the nothing, allow the all? The word everything comes from the Indo-European teteta, which refers to a group of people, a tribe. In English, all also comes from the Indo-European hel, which means complete, or the common everything arises from the term each and tada, and a thing. And the word nothing arises incredibly from the Latin word nacer, something that is born, the natality. Me, that is, the origin of the word that we consider empty and without anything actually speaks of the birth of all things. That's right. Nothing is the birth of the all. The parts of the tribe, the sets, the groups, the objects, and the individuals are accounted for by the whole, ordered as sons and daughters of different ages, all born from the same womb, from the same origin, from the womb of the divine matrix, the empty. The empty comes from the verb vacar, which rises to the word vacant. That is, a free, unoccupied site that has to be completed. All of the concepts related to the void do not speak of the force opposed to the whole, but of the force that allows the whole to exist. Me. That's why when we meet the whole of the path of spirituality, the path of consciousness, of being, takes us to the origin where we meet the nothing, the void, the mother. That is to say that throughout our search, we see the parts, we see the whole in the image of the Heavenly Father, the Creator, the one who disseminates, the one who labels, orders, levels, guides, the one who groups, unites, and joins, who it reminds us that we are a part of a whole in unity. And we go through the wonders of His creation in the different worlds of this dimension on Earth, and then in the wonders of the multidimensionality. We discovered that the whole is the visible and the invisible. It is eternal and ethereal. We recognize the connection between the parts of this gigantic puzzle and the truth that we had so much sought. And when we look at the whole picture, we realize that in reality, all of this did not arise just like that. Everything must have an origin, a point in common. Each part and the network itself must have emerged from the same place. The spiritual path deepens to such an extent that the images of the great puzzle cease to make sense, and the ideas of humans as a simple cluster of atoms and vibrations disappears. Teachers, guides, angels disappear. The idea of the duality disappears. Everything collapses in on itself, realizing that nothing that used to make sense really does now. And there you discover that all of the parts of the puzzle were simply projections of an idea, and that idea leads to I am. And when you connect to the I am, you discover the origin of everything in the void, in the nothing. I am, and that's when you realize that the Creator had always been the same being. You, me, us, you, them, him, her, the nothing. The natality of all things. Nothing and everything, then, are not opposites. They are mother and children. The everything is the heavens and the thousands of children born from nothing. It is the I am expression in millions of eyes. And all those eyes look for a way to express themselves, to build themselves, generating more separation, more things, more wonders, generating each tiny part that make up the whole, what amazes us, what all of our senses can perceive in all dimensions. On their path, the I, the ego, will discover their potentiality until they have found the most beautiful truth of all, that they are not alone on the path, and that everything is connected, and that everything is one, and everything is a network, millions of parts of unity, constituting the mind of the whole and the very Creator. They discover that there is no God above or below because everyone is a cell of God. Everyone is God. And their actions, emotions, and thoughts shape God in a way that our cells shape our being. Thus, poetry is drawn of creation, giving meaning to everything that did not have it before, to the logic between the parts. And the truth is eclipsed in an instant by the absolute truth. The meaning was created by the mind of the great being, and therefore the manifestation, the experiencing. It had no meaning until integration gave them one. He discovers then that nothing ever made sense, and the mind was the only one capable of giving him sense. And thus he sets out to understand nonsense, and discovers that all things arose, were born from the same origin, and from the space that needed to be filled with experiences from the meaningless void. And it will not be until he recognizes himself as that void, as the mother giving birth, that he becomes aware of the whole which created himself, that the meaning was proposed by himself. The discovery that the origin and the meaning of things, of everything, is the deepest nothing from meaninglessness. It is not the key to falling into the depression of the death of being of what for, eternal and self-pity, but just the opposite. It is the key that reminds us that all of this has been possible because you have allowed yourself to be born from nothing, that you have given it meaning. Why do you wait for the meaning and existing unity of everything to be determined by someone outside, a God you cannot understand? Me. We return to the same thing, the irresponsibility. It's easier to say that someone else did it, so it's someone else's fault. I am. The universe is like you, and each being that makes it up, each star, planet, species, individual, is like a different type of cell that makes you up. The paradox lies in the following. Who is to blame for the conflicts and the meaning of your life? You who with your decisions determine the destiny of the cells, or your cells that in the DNA have determined your existence? Me. Sure, a huge paradox, because it means that what I do to my body affects every cell, but in turn, it's the cells that built me as I am. That is, it's reciprocal. That the individual who generates the whole are the parts that give meaning to the universe. I am. Voila. Each individual, in the replica of their DNA, of their experience, and perceptions of life, multiplies the whole, magnifying it, giving it meaning and purpose, not the other way around. It is not God who gives meaning to the whole, it is the whole who gives meaning to God. And the only way to make sense of it is by eliminating all perceptions reborn, born from nothing. Me. That's why you take me over and over again out there to the void, to be able to resurface, to be able to create my own universe. I am. And that's how you finally understand what you know. Me. I am the nothing that generates the everything. I am the everything giving meaning to the nothing. I am. Welcome to the true meaning of creation.